Hey, I hope you're fantastic. I'm going to give you your real estate update. Today, I'm going to answer a question. After I do the quick numbers, I'm going to answer the question whether we're watching property prices decrease from recorded sold listings. And I'm going to go ahead and I need to attack a particular market. I need to go after single family residences, 4 bedrooms in Valencias. This data can be put together for any one of the Santa Clarita Valley cities, any one of the neighborhoods just in that same way. But there's about 288 records. That's going to include all of the active inventory and then all of the sold inventory in 90 days. But right now, I'll get into that in just a moment to answer that question. Are we watching prices, actual values of homes reduce in Valencia amongst 4 bedrooms? And you can make this go across all of the different housing types in Santa Clarita. You'll get the same answer. I ran the data, but specifically just Valencia. But currently we have 771 total active listings on the market here in the Santa Clarita Valley cities. That includes single family residences, condominiums, and also townhomes. So looking at the data, we have more inventory, at least by 250 units for sale than we had back in January. That isn't uncommon, so there's no big reason to panic. Interest rates aren't going up. They're trickling down ever so slowly, but they're pretty stable. Also, to answer that question, what we talked about, I did is I took all that MLS related data, I plugged it into Grok. I went ahead and used Grok 3, and I had it pull the deep research on it. So it went through all of the data, extracting from the sold properties, days on market, timeframes, looking at overall values. And the big mistake a lot of people make if they're going to be using artificial intelligence to pull this data, they're not labeling the properties that have had price reductions versus actual recorded sold prices. Then they're not looking at the historical recordings, which is incredibly important. So it's one thing if an entire market goes out there and every single seller lists their property for sale $50,000 or $60,000 more than the last one sold. That's one thing. Then when those sellers do those price reductions, people look at the market, and because they're not actually taking in the recorded sold prices from the actual sold inventory, they're looking at these price adjustments the sellers are making, trying to find that happy place that's going to get their home sold in the best possible way. They're using that as a factor to say the real estate market is waning and there are problems and everybody needs to watch out, and oh my God, it's all falling apart. That's not the proper way to do it. It's one thing to list a property for more than the price is actually allowing of the recorded sold prices, because the seller wants to try to get their best complete offer on that property. Most agents, if they're worth their salt, they're doing that reconnaissance for their clients, not just searching for the price ranges. Now, for their client, they might have set them up and sending them a specific search that only has their particular parameters, because the last thing an agent wants is a buyer to believe they're trying to dial them up to a higher purchase price. If the buyer talked to their lender and the lender said, listen, you're qualified to $1 million, maybe the buyer says, you know what, $1 million, that's a bunch, looking at the payment, the HOA association, whatever those various costs are during that particular month for the house. Maybe it's too much. Maybe they say, you know what, 900 is a better fit for us or for me. So that's where I want to limit the search to. So the agent doing their due diligence will go out there and they will then start sending them properties, doing those actual agent scrubbed properties, looking at what's in the MLS and sending it to them. Now, any buyer can also do this themselves. Their social media systems, syndication systems, they can do this. I only throw a little bit of warning to you. Just be wary. Some of these systems are totally built around you giving up your personal and private information so it can be sold to a whole bunch of real estate agents. Selfish plug, SantaClaritaOpenHouses.com. My site, you'll see all the inventory there. Don't have to register. It's going to irritate you probably and pop up every once in a while saying, hey, Connor wants to know who you are, but you don't need to give it up. You can go and search for all the real estate you want. If you want to save stuff or have the system email you the fresh listings from that particular venue, you'll have to give up your name. But very simply, if I reach out and say, hey, you interested? Say, listen, I got an agent. They just don't have a great website, so I'm using yours. Fair enough. You got it. All right. So let's talk about this inventory here. So these numbers, the agents, when they're doing that research, should be looking for their clients, not just stopping at that top figure the clients gave them, because there are quite a few properties that are priced in accordance with a seller's wishes or the way the market could potentially be trending. What that means in plain English is you might be able to get a better deal. You might be able to find something priced at $940 where the sellers will take the $899 or $900,000. But you don't know unless you see it, you investigate it, and you have the offer written. And there's a little bit of pillow talk that can happen during a phone call between your agent and the seller's agent, kind of seeing where they are. This happens all the time, this ex parte, non-lawyer type talk. It does go on, and agents do discuss if the seller gave them the ability to give them intel about where their pricing point is and their particular strategy. It helps. But a good agent is doing that kind of reconnaissance, so you'll be seeing that. So now to get more into that question, what's happening in the real estate market? Are we watching as prices are depleting and decreasing? And oh my gosh, we're all in a bad way. No, they're not. In fact, based on the data, this is the step 4 conclusion that came out after plugging in all that data. Here it is. Based on the data, 4-bedroom, single-family homes in Valencia, California, are not starting to sell for less than they were in the past 90 days. This evidence suggests they are selling for the same or more. And then it talks about several listings and other metrics. Active listings metrics are within upper range of sold homes, particularly in Valencia and Valencia West area. It just depends on where we are. But it does indicate that asking prices remain competitive with or have exceeded recent sale prices. There is no evidence of a downward trend in sale prices within the 90-day period, recent sales from May to June of 2025. That's where we are. And then we also gave that comparison to earlier sales March through April of 2025. Now, if anybody else has the question, I'll send you the data. It's not a problem. It's very easy. Just copy and paste it. I'll throw it out there so you can at least make a determination on my data points and what AI is doing with regard to that. But this is really the best way to take a whole bunch of real estate data and ask those questions. Few real estate sellers out there finding out where your proper pricing strategy should be is very much so much better to be utilized in this way, because you really have this PhD level student that understands mathematics. Your agents should understand the marketing and advertising of it. But you have the system, if your agent isn't integrating artificial intelligence into the way that they're marketing and advertising, coming up with price points for your property and a proper strategy, well, you need to ask them why they're not doing it, I guess would be the best way to do it. I'm Connor with Honor. We will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching today's real estate update. And I will post this particular video at Santa Clarita openhouses.com/blog. You'll be able to go there. It'll be the first video there. I'll have to come up with a clever thumbnail as always. Anyway, let me know if I can help when you're ready. Connor with Honor, over and out.